My name is Ethan, and for as long as I can remember, I've been the background character in my own family's story. Not in a bitter way. I've built a career, created a life I'm proud of, but in my parents' eyes, none of it ever seemed to matter. The spotlight was always fixed on my younger sister, Sophie. She's 2 years younger, effortlessly magnetic, the kind of person who walks into a room and makes everyone orbit around her. My parents dote on her. Relatives hang on her every word. She could sneeze and they'd treat it like a miracle. Meanwhile, if I announced something meaningful, like hitting a business milestone, the response was always the same. A polite nod, followed by, "Anyway, Sophie." For years, I told myself I was imagining it, that maybe Sophie was just more outgoing, more social. But the truth was impossible to ignore. Last year, I proudly shared that I had finally paid off my student loans after working multiple jobs through college. No applause. No congratulations. Just silence. 10 minutes later, Sophie casually mentioned she had applied, not even secured, an internship. The room erupted like she had won a Nobel Prize. I stayed quiet. Silence was easier than disappointment. But this year, something in me shifted. At our holiday dinner, my mom asked everyone to share their biggest accomplishment of the year. When it was my turn, I told them my business had officially hit 6 figures in revenue. The table fell silent. Then my dad chuckled. "That's good, Ethan. But let's hear about Sophie's promotion. That's what we're all excited about." The word stung, but what broke me was watching my mom serve Sophie 2 generous slices of pie and then tell me, almost casually, that there wasn't enough left, so I should settle for a smaller piece. That night, as I drove away, I realized something. I could climb every mountain, break every barrier, and it still wouldn't matter. To them, Sophie would always be the star, and I'd always be the shadow. Weeks later, the family group chat exploded with messages about me ruining dinner. Sophie even told me, "The night wasn't about you, Ethan. It was about celebrating family." Family. I laughed. They didn't mean family. They meant her. Then came the final insult. My dad called, cheerfully suggesting that since my business was doing okay, I should help Sophie with the down payment for her condo. Not a loan, he said. An investment in family. I nearly dropped the phone. Sophie had mocked me for years for being married to my laptop. And now I was expected to bankroll her lifestyle? I didn't argue. I just said I'd think about it. But instead of handing over money, I made a different plan. A month later, the family gathered at my aunt's house to celebrate Sophie's new condo. The irony was painful. My parents had helped her with the down payment, yet the invitations praised her for making it on her own. When I walked in, Sophie smirked. "Try not to leave halfway through this time." My parents chuckled at her jab. I said nothing. The night unfolded like always. Sophie basked in attention. Relatives lined up to praise her, and I lingered in the background. But this time I wasn't playing my old role. When my aunt asked if I'd like to say a few words about Sophie, I stood and walked to the front. The room went quiet. "Sophie has always been the center of attention in this family," I began. A few people laughed nervously. And tonight is no exception. But I think it's time we also recognize other kinds of success. The kind that doesn't come with applause or parties. From my jacket, I pulled out an envelope. Inside were contracts, financial statements, partnership letters. I laid them on the podium. "This past year," I said steadily, "my business crossed the $1 million mark. Built from the ground up. No loans. No shortcuts. Just years of sacrifice none of you ever noticed." Gasps rippled through the room. Sophie's smirk disappeared. My parents stiffened. "When Sophie applied for an internship, you threw her a dinner. When she bought this condo with your help, you threw her a party. But when I paid off my loans, when I scaled my company, when I achieved everything I worked for, you ignored me. Tonight, that ends." Sophie shot up, voice shaking. "You're just jealous, Ethan. This is my night. I met her gaze calm. Jealousy would mean I wanted your life. I never did. What I wanted was recognition for mine. The room fell into a silence so heavy you could feel it pressing down. Relatives shifted uncomfortably, their eyes darting between the documents and me. For the first time, the spell Sophie held over the room broke. You've all spent years treating me like I don't exist, I continued, giving her banquets while handing me crumbs. That ends tonight. Finally, I placed one last paper on the podium. A letter of intent from a major partnership deal that would catapult my company to the next level. The weight of it settled across the room like a storm. Sophie's face went pale, my mother's hands trembled around her glass, and my father's jaw locked in quiet anger. This isn't about stealing her spotlight, I said. It's about balance, about truth, about respect. And then I walked away. As whispers spread, relatives crowded the documents. Sophie sputtered, but no one rushed to defend her. For the first time, they saw me, not as Sophie's overshadowed brother, not as the family's disappointment, but as someone who had built something undeniable. And as I stepped out of that house, I knew one thing for certain. Nothing in that family would ever be the same again. If you've ever felt overlooked or underestimated, don't stay silent. Share your story in the comments, subscribe for more powerful tales, and let's build a community where every voice matters.